Throwaway time. What's your secret that could literally ruin your life if it came out? Well, it's more of a secret to my friends that I've made recently. Some background first. I don't like being touched or hugged, and I'm incredibly uncomfortable with intimacy in general. When I was in the 8th grade, a bunch of girls in my class convinced me they had a friend who fancied me. They said she had seen me somewhere and thought I was cute. Faked her MSN account and they talked to me every night for a few months, invited me out to the movies, and, obviously, didn't show up, then revealed to the whole grade that I had been tricked into having an imaginary girlfriend. I was mocked viciously by everyone in the grade, and ever since then I can't really trust women. I also can't believe that a girl may have feelings for me. Even when they explicitly tell me they have feelings for me, I can't help but feel like they are trying to trick me. It's caused a lot of insecurity, and I can't get attached to people easily. I'm terribly afraid to text or message people first because I'm convinced I would be annoying them. What's worse is that when I think about it, I know it probably isn't true, but I can't help but feel like it is. Even though it was grade 8, it was around the time when attraction to women was just starting to get real. So to be hurt at a time as delicate as that has really done some damage. The secret, of course, is that I had been dumb enough to be tricked. As you might suspect, the whole thing has left me afraid of being vulnerable. To have this found out by my newer friends, as in university friends, would put me in a really uncomfortable place. I probably wouldn't be able to be their friend anymore. Thanks for reading. You're the first people I've told about what this event has actually done to me. Edit. I know people still read this thread, so I felt I should come back and that I owed people an update. I've since met such a fantastic woman, someone who makes me incredibly happy. I love her very much, she loves me, and she's helping me get used to the idea of feeling valuable and trusting people, or at least one person. She's the best thing that's happened to me in a long time, maybe ever. I'm glad I got to come back to this post and finish it off with a happy ending. To all the people in the comments who were kind to me or who shared their own similar experiences, you're always valuable and someone will notice. I run a cake business. I charge people hundreds for wedding cakes. Every last one is made using Pillsbury cake mix I buy for $1 a box at Walmart. I suck at baking. Every time I've ever tried to make a cake from scratch it sucked, but baking is like my whole deal. My friends all call me the cake girl. It's like my whole life is a lie. People compliment my cakes all the time, telling me how delicious they are, telling me it's so much better than box mix cake, telling me they could never bake a cake so delicious. Well, guess what? For $1, they too can make a cake just as delicious. Just add oil, eggs, and water. In my defense, I love cake decorating. I make all of the frostings and fondant from scratch. I just hate faking cakes. I base my prices mostly on the decoration of the cakes, and not of the cake itself, if that makes sense. Still, no one knows about this except my husband. Even my best friends think I faking slave over the oven mixing and baking these damn cakes. I have been doing this for years. If anyone knew, my business and reputation would be in the toilet for sure. I keep telling myself I have to learn how to make the damn cakes without the box mixes, but I never do it. I feel like such a sham sometimes. Edit. Holy shit, I didn't expect such a response to this. I feel better about it thanks to a lot of these comments. Funny, I started this account as a novelty account and got bored of googling random cakes to post as comments. Lol, seemed perfect for this confession. Edit. 2 months later I receive messages almost daily on this account. I'm so glad I used a throwaway. I forget to check this account most of the time and rarely see this stuff until weeks later. That said, to answer the main questions, yes, I know I can order cake mix online, but I don't make enough cakes for it to be economical. It's actually more expensive to order online. Honestly, I'm not incredibly worried about people seeing me anymore. If I ran into someone I would tell them that I was helping my niece with a bake sale or something. I have, since this thread, made some cakes from scratch. I'm still using box mixes for chocolate and vanilla. Oh, and red velvet, because fuck all of that. Let's see what else. Oh right, I've received probably 100 comments saying the cake is a lie. We get it. It's very clever, but no, I'm sorry, you're not the first, second, third or 20th to say it. Overall, I've learned this is actually pretty normal, and that people from all over the world have a friend who makes cakes and they all think I'm their friend. So far no one has pinned me, but you guys had better check your friends' cabinets for Pillsbury mix. Edit Wednesday, June 17th, 2015. Alright kiddos. Here I am. A friend texted me and said my people need me, hahaha. I guess there was a thread that got big and mentioned this thread. Here's your update. I actually no longer make cakes. I got a divorce and moved into a much smaller home. At that point I had no place to decorate cakes. I was also really burnt out. It's an incredibly hard art, very time consuming and requires a lot of tools and space. About a year later, I moved in with my now boyfriend. We have a pretty big kitchen. I wanted to sell my equipment and tools and the billion giant cake pans I have, but he convinced me not to. He said I should keep it on the back burner for a while and see if I want to do it again later. He didn't know me when I was a decorator, but he saw the photos and told me it would be a shame if I never did it again. I want to share some photos, but it would so easy to trace them back to my old cake blog. Maybe I can find 1 or 2 photos that were never posted there. Edit January 2018. Once in a while these Reddit lore posts pop up and someone mentions my confession and I think to check this account. I'm incredibly tickled to be a part of Reddit lore. I have a sort of hilarious update at this point. About a year and a half ago I was diagnosed with a wheat intolerance. My intestines decided they no longer wanted to digest wheat anymore. Woo. I actually just thought I was dying for a few months. It was really stressful. Anyway, I can't even fucking eat cake anymore. I still have all of my equipment and whatnot. I make a quick cake now and then. But trust me when I say gluten-free cake mixes are better than anything I could make from scratch. Lol. Here's a cute little cake I made for my birthday last year. It's not amazing, but it's not bad considering I rarely make cakes anymore. I still receive so many messages on this account. I'm sorry if I don't reply, but I never check this account. I've got everything in that inbox, from people trying to guess who I am, to people giving me recipes, to people begging me for cake photos, and one guy who wanted a video of me eating cake. Yikes. Anyhow, I'm getting married, again, second time is a charm, to a dude I met on Reddit. And our wedding planner asked me to please not try to make my own wedding cake, because she has seen it end in stressful disaster so many times. I'm going to take her advice and leave the cake making to someone else. I do know Reddit, and I know some of you will call bullshit on this update, but that's fine. Lol. I literally have no reason to lie, and with all this personal information someone will probably finally realize who I'm for sure. Haha. Update February 23. 2019. The never-ending editing. Lol. I hadn't logged into this account for over a year, but I saw someone mention me in a thread, so I logged in real quick. A zillion messages in the all inbox. Sorry. I don't really have advice on how to start a cake decorating business. I just did my best and was mostly given business by word of mouth. Lots of people messaging to tell me I ripped people off. I mean, not really. People fucking loved the cakes, and when it's all said and done a box of cake mix plus all the stuff it takes to make it into a cake probably cost around the same amount as the raw ingredients. And people loved the cakes, so that's whatever. Lots of people asking if I would be mad to find out that my wedding cake was made with box mix. No, lol. Also, I was not charging anyone bakery prices. Anyone giving me a few $100s was paying me to make a massive cake that took me days to assemble and decorate. Also, my wedding was fantastically fabulous. We got a gluten-free cake from Milk Bar, and I paid another bakery $400 to make us a beautifully decorated 2-tier cake for the guests to eat. Everything was amazing. Oh, and here's some fuel to fire all of yours weird hate. Lol. I found this at the grocery store the other day. I'm over here about to ice up some gluten-free box mix cupcakes. https://i.imga.com/mpi0yw.jpg. Please don't give this account gold. I'll log into it like once a year. Save your money. Donate it to a charity or something instead. October 2019. Edit. I can't believe I can still add edits to this. Weird. Anyway, things are great. I haven't been baking much dessert, but I've been working on some gluten-free French bread and it's going okay. Some people have messaged asking my marriage. My husband is awesome. He's really the best, and it feels awesome to be with a partner who treats me as an equal. I have a lot of weird messages in my inbox. Some of y'all need therapy. I almost did an interview for a podcast on Reddit law, but I chickened out. Sorry lol. I'm just not great at doing interview kinda stuff, and was afraid I'd be super weird about it. April 2020 edit. Oh my god, I can't believe it's still letting me make edits to this. Jesus Christ. Quarantine is wild. All I do right now is watch 90 Day Fiancé and sew masks. So many masks. I guess this is my new thing. It's been really funny to see my post mentioned around Reddit once in a while. Especially when people add or change details like some kind of weird game of telephone. It honestly cracks me up. Keep being weird, Reddit. January 2021. I haven't logged into this account since last April. Still getting a steady stream of messages. Y'all are great. I just celebrated my birthday with a gluten-free cake from Milk Bar. Amazing. I didn't really bake much during the pandemic so far, but I did learn how to sew, and I've sewn over 3,000 masks in the last year which I sold and donated to people all over the US. I also had COVID for Christmas. It sucked. But I've fully recovered now, and I'm hoping we can get this shit under control this year. I miss doing things and going places. September 2021 Feo. I honestly can't believe I can still edit this. I just scrolled through the thread and saw some others who had given updates, but none much past 2019. I guess I don't have much to update. We are somehow still in a pandemic. I guess I last updated not long after I had gotten over COVID. I still can't smell and taste properly, so that's a whole thing. 9 months later. Pro tip, don't get covered. Thank you to all the people who continue to bring me up in Reddit lore threads. Even if you get the details wrong, it's kind of hilarious that you'll still remember my dumb cake story. I'm forever entangled in the weirdness of the thread that brought us such Reddit lore weirdness as the come box. Thanks for the messages and the shoutouts. Stay weird Reddit. February 2022. Figured I would throw on a 2022 update. Why not? I recently was absent-mindedly scrolling through TikTok and came across a video that was just someone reading my comment. Lol. There were a ton of likes and comments. I read through the comments and they were all super validating. It honestly made me smile a lot. I truly can't believe people are still talking about this and that I can still edit this comment. June 2023. Just wanted to pop in and say a proper fuck you / spez. I stand with you / I am Fashion. I'm pretty much done with Reddit at this point. So long and thanks for all the fish. This isn't necessarily something that could ruin my life, but it could ruin many others. I haven't told anyone before. My father recently went to prison for white collar crime that he pleaded guilty to. He didn't commit this crime, but the alternative was fighting a highly sensationalized, media obsessed, scapegoat case and potentially getting 20+ years. While he was in prison, I read his little blue book, which I knew contained all the missteps of everyone he's worked with. He has always been an extremely scrupulous man, so these offenses were something he took seriously enough to note. I have information on countless state employees, incredibly prominent and wealthy community members, numerous elected city/state officials, and police officers. This information could ruin lives and start political controversy. My father is an incredible man and is not vengeful whatsoever. He will never use any of this info against these people, despite the fact that most completely turned on him and stayed uninvolved at all costs, or started pointing fingers. When I picture my aging father sitting in a maximum security jail cell sleeping on a metal sheet without a mattress, he wasn't given one until his 5th night, I'm filled with rage for these people who could have stood up for their friend Dan. Prevented this, while he still continues to be loyal. I still haven't decided which campaigns, if any, I'm going to ruin in the upcoming elections. Okay, so this is a secret I've kept for nearly 20 years. During the summers, when I was growing up, my parents would often leave my brother and I'm male, with our aunt and uncle who lived out in the country. It was great as they had 4 sons of ages close to ours, so we had a lot of fun doing kid stuff. One summer, when I was 8, the oldest cousin was maybe 16. We somehow got talking, and he asked me if I wanted to sleep in his room that night. He has the nicest room and bed, so I was all for it. Got into bed and he asked if he could touch my business. I was 8 and just thought it was okay, so I'll let him. He rubs it for a bit and then asks me to do the same to him. So I do. This progresses and eventually I'm sucking his cork. I think I knew this was wrong, so I said I didn't want to carry on. We stop and I go to sleep quite confused. I wake up and he hands me some money and tells me never to tell anyone about what happened. Next night he tries to do the same thing, but now all I care about is the money. So I do it. This carried on for 2 summers. Eventually I got old enough to realize it was quite wrong regardless of the money and stopped. I've not told anyone this. He's now married with 2 kids. I'm also married and we see them sometimes at family events. I don't have the balls to even try and talk to him about it. Hell, I'm not even sure what I'd say. I'm sure this will get buried, but just getting it off my chest makes me feel better. TLDR, I was a gay child hooker. Buried comment, but here goes. Not life ruining, but makes me feel like shit every time I think about it. As I've told Reddit before, I have a blind brother. When we were young, I used to get so frustrated at all the extra attention he received and how I had to be more responsible with my sibling than my peers. So, when my brother and I would go play, go to the store, or just generally go anywhere without adults, I would abandon him somewhere unfamiliar to him. Then, I would stand off quietly and watch the anxiety set in as he tried to figure out where he was and what was going on. Also, I was really intelligent as a child and knew that was my ticket to attention. When I would help my brother with his homework, I would teach him all the wrong answers so that I could continue being the smarter sibling. Today, my brother is my best friend. He goes to college and lives by himself. He's become one of the most intelligent men I've ever met. I'm trying to make it up to him now by being the best big sister ever, but I still feel so guilty at how I found him to be a burden when I was a kid. Edit. Update. I immediately called my brother after posting this and caught him while he was walking to a study group. I told him about my guilt and he laughed. He understands how frustrating it must have been. He told me that all of the good things I have done as a sister completely overshadow anything bad I did, and that he loves me more than anything. I'm glad I spoke with him, and I encourage others on here to talk to someone if they can. I faked having a chronic pain condition for 5.5 years. In order to not have to attend middle school and high school, I was placed on a homebound program, not homeschooling, and allowed to study at my own pace from home. I was able to fool a team of medical professionals, my family, my teachers, and my friends into believing that my symptoms were real. Also, I racked up over $100,000 in medical bills for my family. That's just what the insurance didn't cover. During those 5.5 years, I did not realize the extent of the medical bills until late into my life, and it was one of the main reasons I decided enough was enough. Upon graduating from high school and getting accepted into a good university, I decided that it was time for my pain to go away. No one has questioned the fact that my symptoms vanished overnight. My medical team attributed it to the fact that I was nearing the end of puberty. What I did was a douchebag thing, and my family is continuing to drown in debt from medical bills. I plan to pay them back someday. I simply started the hoax because I was a 12-year-old who absolutely loathed middle school. I attempted to end the lie at the beginning of every school year, but eventually fell back into saying my pain prevented me from attending school. Today I feel horrible about what I did, and I desperately want to tell everyone that it was a lie, but I know that I cannot, because I will never gain credibility back again. Edit. I didn't expect such a huge response. I fully expected this to get downvoted to hell. Those of you who are saying I'm a douchebag, you are right. I wholeheartedly agree with you. I do want to address a couple things. This occurred over a decade ago. I have since graduated from undergrad and law school. I'm currently an associate at a large law firm, and I'm in a position to pay my parents back. I have tried many times to pay my parents back the $50,000 they already have paid off. I have also tried to get them to let me assume the remaining $50,000 in medical bills. They refuse to let me. My hope is that they will allow me to help them with their retirement. I think some ground is being made in those negotiations. I do not intend to stiff my parents. I truly do plan on repaying them some way. Dude, what you did is not that bad. In fact, it's what most teenagers would have done given your situation. You were a kid, and you had no idea how serious things could get. Your mind couldn't conceive of someone doing what your friend did. You were an innocent, and you got a harsh dose of reality at a young age. You weren't responsible for his death. He didn't plan suicide at the last minute. He didn't suddenly wake up one day and think, okay, guess I'll die now. This had been building up for months, probably years. You probably could not have stopped him, even if he'd been the most comforting person ever. There are professional suicide counselors who can't stop a person who's really invested in the idea of dying. In any case, and this may sound cold, it is over, it's done, and your life is what matters now. I understand letting your friend's parents believe that he had some comfort before he died. But I can't imagine how someone who loved you would think less of you for being honest about what happened. You've obviously got quite a bit of guilt left over from this, given your title could literally ruin your life if it came out. Stop beating yourself up over this. This is guilt you don't need to carry forever. Your friend killing himself is proof enough that one person isn't made to carry heavy burdens all alone. Tell someone. I'm eventually going to kill myself. I don't know when, but I'm pretty sure that's where life is taking me. I've never kissed a girl, and I'm approaching 30. I have panic attacks in social situations. Therapy seems to only make me feel worse, and I've decided that living so that others don't have to deal with my death isn't worth it anymore. I'm basically just waiting out my parents so they don't have to attend my funeral. Remove some for space 2. 2015 trashitogain.com now has the entire post raw. 1/6/2017 I'm going to be a father. Totally unexpected. The doctor had told us it was likely not possible thanks to PCOS, and she was on the pill. And, well, let's just say this wasn't planned. I'm still in shock. Holy hell, kids cost a lot of money. I'm terrified that I won't be up to the task, but it's time to put away my own worries and insecurities and focus on doing the best I can. Over the last half a decade I've learned a lot about myself, and one of the major things I've discovered is that although I was missing companionship horribly, I do need a lot of time to myself. I'm still an introvert. It's going to be interesting trying to reconcile what I need for my own sanity with the much more important matter of keeping a wife and child clothed, fed, homed, and happy. Oh, and I guess I'm going to propose now. Don't tell her though. I'm still figuring out how I'm going to do it. Probably something involving a ring of some sort. Possibly onion. I really should have been better at saving last year. 8/2017 I have a son. It's the most amazing thing in this world. I honestly can't explain it. My wife is my hero for delivering this little guy. I don't have the time to sit and think through my thoughts like I usually do when I update here, but I'm just so glad that I'm here for him. I'm also deliriously tired. 9/2018 I figure I'm well overdue for one of these, and I've gotten a lot of PMs, so here goes. My life has changed a lot over the years since I created this account and made my first post. It's difficult to compartmentalize and share everything that I feel like ought to be shared, but I have a few clear thoughts that I wish someone could have shared with me. First, it takes time to learn how to be happy. When my son was born, as babies do, he cried. He didn't smile for the first time for about 3 months. We are all born knowing how to be sad, but it takes time to learn how to be happy, and it's completely worth it. When he cracked his first big gummy smile, it was at my father, now a grandfather, smiling down at him. Every dirty diaper-induced cry seemed worth it. It was simply incredible. No words can do it justice. Second, things aren't magically easy. I did not plan to have kids. At one point, when I was a virgin and suicidal, I dreamed of the normal family life as a sort of goal that I felt like I ought to have. What I really wanted was intimacy and love, but I didn't know how to articulate it yet. Over the years I came to the realization that I'm pretty selfish, I'm pretty lazy, and I love having the freedom to stay out late and travel. Me and my now wife agreed on this and planned no kids. And then her birth control failed. So we got married and we had a kid, and life got stressful. I often wish I could just be free again. I make about 115k a year now, not a massive salary but enough that I should be able to do things like eat out when I want, but I'm struggling horribly because my wife has essentially no income potential or motivation to change that. Stress is constant. Interspersed in this, however, other things that make it worth it. My son just figured out how to play hide and seek with me on his own, pulling a blanket over his head and laughing hysterically when he does it. I got a video of it, and it's so fucking cute that I watch it multiple times a day at work. Third, oh, and she's pregnant again. I'm going to have a daughter. Birth control pills don't work for shit on her, and apparently neither do IUDs. I'm definitely getting a vasectomy this time. Fourth, the thoughts will never go away once they've been there, and that is something I'm going to have to live with forever. I wish this wasn't the case, but it is. I still have my mind turn on me from time to time. I still get low, and I still can't escape that mental movie where I put a gun to my temple and pull the trigger. I have so much to live for now, and so much I'm responsible for, and I still can't totally escape it. It sucks, but living with it is just a part of life. I also still think of my ex. She was a huge part of my life, even if it was for a short time, and those memories are inescapable. I've learned to let them be fond in their own way, as so much time has passed, and ongoing bitterness was poisoning me. Finally, I've said it a lot of times, but life goes on. It will keep happening regardless of if you use your time well or not. If you're someone like I was, reading this now, do not wait. Get out there. Your mountain is waiting. 2021. Well, it's been a while since I updated this, so I figured I'd better get to it. Life goes on. I've got 2 kids and a house and a dog, and all that good stuff. I've tried to continue working on and learning about myself in the years since my original post, and now that I'm looking at 40 instead of 30, I'm struck that the sense of foreboding has never gone away. I don't know if it's something chemical or something deeply ingrained in me, but whatever it is, at least now I can see it for what it is and deal with it. I'm still a lonely person, and I probably always will be, and that monkey on my back is probably always going to be there whispering in my ear, but now it terrifies the hell out of me because I know how badly my kids need me. It's not just the fear that I'll harm myself someday. Now I get all the existential dread that goes with aging too. I wish there was a medicine that just made me feel normal, but everything I've ever tried fogged up my brain too much, and I can't support the family if I can't design software anymore. Such is adult life, I guess. I don't know what possessed me to get online and update tonight, other than that I was laying in bed awake, missing people I don't know anymore, and struggling to find either the quiet to sleep, the passion to go do something I like, or the motivation to work on something productive. I guess it all comes down to keeping perspective and remembering that even if whatever the fuck is wrong in my brain isn't my fault, it is my responsibility. Tomorrow I'll attack the day again, and I'm going to keep doing that for a long time. 2023. Well, it looks like this whole Reddit thing might be on the downswing, so I should probably make another update before everything goes away. I'm tired. I suppose that's normal. Comes with a family and all that. I don't always agree with my wife, work isn't always pleasant, and my kids aren't always little angels, but generally I'm in a good place. I have found myself with a 7-figure, if I'm lucky 8, set of golden handcuffs, and I'm looking at probable retirement before 45. I realized sometime over the last 2 years that I'm finally over my ex to the point where I can look at old pictures and it doesn't bother me. It's kind of shocking how long that took for something that was so vanishingly brief. Weirdly, the decade-old opening of the suicide door never did close, and ideations continue to pop up every time stress overwhelms me, but I know how to deal with it now. Death terrifies me. My kids aren't anywhere near ready to lose me, and I'm not anywhere near ready to go, but for some reason that horrific imagination loop of tearing my own head apart comes back every so often. Those urges can fuck off. I've got to dance with my daughter at her wedding, and there are billions upon billions of people with more reason to be sad than me. The mind is a strange thing. I've been ending updates on platitudes for years and I have nothing new or deep to add, but I just wanted to say that I'm doing well. When I was around 10 or 11 years old, one of the maid's daughters who was probably 13 or 14 at the time, had a pretty weird relationship with me. We both mutually liked each other, but the relationship just couldn't happen because my mother strictly forbid me to associate myself with any of the attendants or their family. We did some mild petting, I guess. She touched my business, and I played with her vagina. I don't recall any sort of intercourse. Don't even think I was even old enough for that. We had a bunch of dogs in the back area, mainly German Shepherd mutts. I personally love dogs and all sorts of animals, so I frequently spent my time in the back lot with the dogs. I watched the dogs mount each other and was interested in what they were doing. I even once saw one of the dogs lick its own penis, and it would grow, and I guess the dog comes out after a certain amount of licking. Yeah, it was kinda gross, but I was interested. I went over to feed the dog, and that she was in the back lot helping her mom hang some clothes. I told her about my pretty faked up idea. I wanted her to get mounted by one of the bigger dogs and she agreed to it. We waited a couple of days when absolutely no one was home except for maybe a couple of other of the attendants' kids for her to do it. She stripped down and walked over to one of the bigger dogs and kneeled down on all fours in front of the dog. The dog started sniffing her backside for a few seconds and she got up and ran. The dog then chased after her and jumped on her back. She didn't fully fall face first as she went down on all four again, hands knees. The dog then went on to having sex with her. A few weeks later she committed suicide. I don't know if it was because of my idea or if there were any other causes to leading to her suicide. To this day I still think that my juvenile mind could have caused the death of another person. I came very close to committing a school shooting. I was picked on a lot in high school. I think it was because I tried so hard to be cool and everyone saw right through it. There were these 4 cowboy jock types that gave it to me the worst. After being publicly humiliated and beaten in front of a girl I liked as she laughed/cheered, I decided that none of it was worth it anymore. I had no support at home, being an only child, and having parents that worked constantly, and cutting and burning myself didn't make me feel better anymore. So I got my dad's handgun out of the gun safe. He uses the same combo for everything, the idiot, and brought it to school with me the next day. I can't adequately describe to you guys how ready I was to kill these 4. I had absolutely no fear or doubt in my mind. I wanted nothing more than to show everyone what happens when you push someone over the edge like they did. I had the gun tucked in my waistline. I was wearing this baggy pair of cargo shorts that I wore a couple times a week that day. I remember walking towards the cowboy's table, so goddamn ready for it to be over, when the gun fell out of my waistline, down my left short leg, and made the loudest faking sound as it hit the cafeteria floor. I tried my best to grab the gun real quick, but people saw what it was and screamed, and one of the instructors tackled me to the ground. They eventually concluded that I had brought the gun to school to impress people with badassery and had no intention of using it. I was expelled and sent to live at a youth ranch in Idaho until I was 18. I did have the intention of using it though. I was going to kill all of them. I'm 24 now, and I still think about it all the time. I have not recovered from high school. I'm still terrified of people in general and avoid having relationships because of what I fear I'm capable of. I'm not looking for pity. I know that what I did was wrong. It just feels good to tell the story. Thanks Reddit. ELDR, I attempted a school shooting